So now there's also all this stuff that's on the floor. We have Lucky Pierre, Director's Cut, a great Robert Coover novel, maybe my favorite Robert Coover novel so far. We got Gravity's Rainbow in a nice edition, probably shouldn't be on the floor. We got The Recognitions in a nice green spine Penguin Classic paperback. We've got Persepolis. I think this is volume 1 or 2. I think this is volume 1, right? Or is this the whole thing? Oh my gosh, I'm being dumb. No, it is not the whole thing. This is, I think, just volume 1. We have Train Spotting. This was loaned to me by a friend. I recently was watching Hackers, which also stars this character here, and he's doing like this American accent. The guy who plays, what is his name? Splooshy. This novel is like all in dialect, you know? It's all spud, that's spud, I think. It's hard to tell in the dark. You know, that kind of thing. We've got Kapuscinski, Shah of Shahs. I'll probably read this right about now. This is very relevant to my interests because it's like, it's just a great piece of reportage, and all my friends are really into reportage, and I think some of them have read Kapuscinski kind of like studiously, and I want to catch up to them. Here we have a copy of Ulysses. This is the copy that I first read. It's from 3/16/14. Love the headline portion, love the catechism portion, love everything about it. I mean, it's just like, it's literary art at its finest. Who needs to say more? And then this is kind of cool, a good pickup. This is people in, I want to say it's people in Shanghai, or maybe it's Beijing? No, Hong Kong. I think it's people in Hong Kong. It's a study of like various people in Hong Kong, their habits and what they do, and the photographs of them are just stunning. It's these little character studies, and they're all highly relatable. It's these wonderful kind of messy lives in the big city. It's an extremely touching book. What's it even called? Life and Times. Photography by Dustin Shum. Yeah, I wish I had my character reading game up. I could read that better. What's interesting is that the cover kind of isn't totally on, I don't think. I think it kind of, maybe it fell off, or maybe it's okay that it's like that. I'm not really sure, but it has that kind of thing going on. This is the beautiful way it looks without the dust jacket. I don't know what the publisher is. Oh, it's published by the Society for Community Organization in Hong Kong. You can get a sense of the gravity of the book. Wow, everything is out of focus. I think it's because I keep moving around. You can get a sense of the gravity of the book by looking at the titles of the forewords. The Decameron, Dismantling the Barriers, The Police Knocked on My Door Twice. You know, this book is pretty urgent, I'd say. It's beautifully made. This is like, I don't have many photo books, but this one I'm very proud to have. This was found in a little free library. God Man, Our Final Evolution by Mark Hamilton. I feel like you rarely see a book that like places itself in a lineage just on its cover. Charles Darwin's Theory of Evolution. Julian Jaynes solves Missing Link. What is that? Frank R. Wallace discovers Next Evolution of Man. And then there's God Man, Our Final Evolution. This is like one of those things you find in a little free library and you're like, you know, what the heck, I'll take it. It has a bunch of stuff that's probably crackpot, but it could be useful from a collaging or finding a poem form standpoint, you know, as many of my texts are. This was not brought into the house by me, but by somebody else who has a keen eye for such things. We have two just kind of blank index cards. We have this book I was thinking about giving away to the used bookstore, Appointment in Samara by John O'Hara, in a nice, one of those like cloth modern library editions. I think I have also Sanctuary in an edition like that. Yeah, I don't think many people read this novel anymore, although there was a Penguin Deluxe edition published of it, I think, recently. This is a really nice copy of it. Maybe I'll like take a look through it. I mean, like, what's the writing like? He took her into his arms. Oh, I love you so much. I always will. I always have, and I always will. Don't do this. What else do we have here? Al Greco was one of the few permanent guests of the Apollo. He had a room there for which he paid nothing. Ed Charney had some kind of arrangement with George Pappas in which no money changed hands. Ed wanted Al to be at the Apollo to receive messages and so on. Whenever there were strangers from other mobs in town on business, or friends who just happened to be passing through Gibbsville, they always looked up Ed Charney at the Apollo. And if Ed was not there, he wanted someone to be on hand, and that someone usually was Al Greco. It doesn't really like immediately blow me away, but it's like, but this could be like it's like a crime novel or a romance novel. It's probably like more of a genre thing. So it probably has different standards in terms of what the style can be and should be. And here's that book I was talking about in my earlier shelf tour, The Dolphin. We were seeing on the back of a Paris review that it was published in a new edition recently. This is something that I found at the Strand, and it's published in 1973, and this is like a hardcover. It's like more of a kind of original hardcover. This is like what you see in the library when you're in the Robert Lowell section at the university library. And it has these short 14-line poems. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. And it's like, but it's not a sonnet. It's just a sequence of poems, and it's brought together in book form. That's like, that's a very general description of what a poem collection is. $6.95, what a hardcover book of poetry cost in 1973. Here's the picture of the poet on the back. Here's the card catalog that's still in the book. I think this is pretty sick. What do we have on it? Any text that we could make head or tail of? Can we focus on it? Can we focus on it, please? That's who checked out the book in '89. Nothing on the back. It's always cool when there's a card catalog back there. If there's any of these envelopes in the backs of books, you could put into it matter that you wrote on while you were reading the book. So you could like write little imitations or commonplace quotations on little pieces of paper, sort of like these blank index cards, and you could stick them in this envelope in the back. I do a similar thing, as I've said before, with my diaries, where I put a envelope sideways in the back, and then I put ephemera there. Yeah, The Dolphin, same cover, front and back. Published by, who now? Frye, Straus and Giroux, of course. So that was also on the floor. We have Mr. Wonderful by Daniel Klaus. Have I made a video about this? I recently, I think a couple of months ago, had a Daniel Klaus phase. And I was rereading all of his books, and I ended up buying Pussy as part of it, Poussey. I ended up buying my first, like, my own copy of Patience, which was incredibly great and made it like almost my favorite Daniel Klaus book outside of Icehaven. I reread Icehaven. I reread basically everything. I reread Ghost World. I made a video about rereading Ghost World and how great rereading Ghost World was. Yeah, that was a wonderful phase, and part of that was I revisited Mr. Wonderful, which is published in this like storybook format that's a lot like what you have with Icehaven, and here we have like the story recapped, or basically the story as it might be in the protagonist's head, recapped in this kind of classic 50s like cartoon style. Mr. Wonderful. And this is part of these like the editions that were published by Jonathan Cape London, which were like on sale a lot at Powell's Books in Chicago, when like you couldn't get the, you know, like instead of the Pantheon US ones, a lot of the London ones were on sale, I noticed. Like, I also have the Jonathan Cape copy of Death Ray. My Death Ray is published by the same publisher, so it's also an import. My more recent read of this book was way more favorable. I thought the fight scenes were really technically amazing. And much about it was technically amazing. Anyway, that's Mr. Wonderful. That's another book that was on my floor. And now I need a minute for having a glass of water and wiping off some sweat from my brow. I was doing some work earlier this morning, some physical labor. A recent gift from my dad. Richard Nixon, The Life, by John A. Farrell. I started reading this and enjoyed what I was reading. I liked the picture of California that it painted. I like California. I like California in fiction. Biographies are fiction, you know. Can everybody who is a presidential biography head who's watching this tell me what you think of this one, if there's a better book? What would be best read as a companion to this to better understand this president? I would really appreciate that, because this is basically all I have at this point. This is really my only presidential biography, my first one ever. I really like the physical package of it. Published by Doubleday. I really like the physical package of it. The paper has this kind of like shininess to it, satin shininess that's really nice. I think they did the book well, and I like the typography of the life. Then also on the floor we have Bark Skins. I really like Annie Proulx, and this is like, I've said that this is the novel of hers besides, outside of the shipping news that I'm gonna get to. It looks really exciting. I think it charts a lot of history. And I think maybe the writing will be different. I'm hoping to like, to make observations about how the writing might be different on a book of this scale from an author this careful and this kind of prose for a prose hound like Annie Proulx. We have C by Tom McCarthy, cover by Peter Mendelssohn, deckled edge, hardcover. Has these kind of Morse code designs all around it, really long flaps inside. Kind of like that cover for Notable American Women by Ben Marcus. This is what it looks like outside of it, with the gilded thing. I've read Remainder and Satin Island, love them both. This is just the physical copy I have of a novel of his that I want to get to. This is kind of one that I think fewer people read because it's longer, and I think it might be a little more pretentious than the other two, or it might have more in it that's like esoteric, more stuff that's in there to like be excavated by careful kind of diagramming of the text and cross-referencing and stuff. Even though I'm sure that stuff exists in Remainder and Satin Island, those, I think, I haven't read this, so I'm slandering this, I'm sorry, but I really want to read it. I'm very excited to read it, and I think Tom McCarthy's an amazing writer, and I think this is going to be a good reading experience, but my hunch is that those other two probably read or have read to most people like more straightforward narratives, novels that are more in the comfort zone. Yeah. We got the 500th issue of Thrasher, like abnormally thick. Contains stuff like a Fallen ad with TJ Person doing a hurricane on this giant hubba. That's, I think, is that the hubba that Rowley lip slid in Really Sorry? Is that the huge thing? I think it might be. It looks like the same environment. And we have like a big poster in it that I haven't taken out. There's a bunch of kind of like Thrasher stuff. There's a list of all the Skater of the Years. You have a Dark Slide from Wes Kramer. And then this, wasn't this in, oh my gosh, Switch Over the Back to 5.0? That's really incredible. I know in Minefield, he ollies over it to nose grind down. That's what he does. I think it's like, you know, and it's not front side or back side, it's just straight on. I've actually been to this in New York City. I could basically pinpoint it on a map. And wow, also receiving the disrespect of being on the floor is this amazing photo book that was not purchased by me, but it was kind of purchased as a companion to that Hong Kong book. I think it depicts many stunning scenes from life in Kazakhstan. It has the same amazing, just like, emotional quality as that Hong Kong one. Everything has the like, that kind of nostalgic, kind of natural, you can feel the weather in the hues. It's like those pictures that are by that guy who fabricates everything, like fabricates all the papers flying, except this is real stuff. And the landscapes are just so immersive. And there's all this white space on the pages opposite so that you really kind of enter in and you're only there. Oh my goodness. Yeah, so this is a great book of photos. Promising Waters by Mila Teshayeva. Very lucky to have this photo book too. I think those photo books will receive like, you know, more conscious placement soon, once moving is happening and stuff. Gosh, there's so much other stuff on this floor. I know my viewers must be very excited for me to get out of this territory. I think there's some stuff that I threw back on this shelf that was on the floor. Lincoln and the Bardo, Foxfire 2. I think Foxfire 1 is around here. Let Us Now Praise Famous Men, my copy of that, I decided to put that on the shelf. We've got the copy of 1984 that I read. I think I made a video about 1984, right? And then The Dawn of Everything, which was not purchased for me, but it's like, it's this big book, you know, and everyone's read it, and some people have read it twice. I know someone who's read the book and listened to the audiobook, and I've heard it's great. And this isn't the David Graeber I'm going to start with. I'm going to start with Debt. Here we have a copy of Tristram Shandy that was given as a gift. It's the fourth copy of Tristram Shandy that's in this house. I accepted it because you can never have too many copies of Tristram Shandy, and it seemed like a kind of a nice copy to just take around and not worry about getting beat up. Here's my treasured copy of Swinburne's Poetry and Prose, which is being disrespected by being on the floor. It's lovely. It's one of those modern library hardcovers, like that Appointment in Samara, except it has that embossed front like that. And yeah, it's my Swinburne. I don't have Swinburne anywhere else, except maybe in the Golden Treasury. But I really like Swinburne, and I like how Swinburne gets covered in Rings of Saturn. That's what first clued me into him. I'll put that there. This is the copy of The Princess Bride that I made a little video about once. It has that great map in the front. I have a video where I open that map. We have Smoke Gets in Your Eyes by Caitlin Doughty. I've wanted to read this. This is something from my music library. The first four notes, Beethoven's Fifth and the Human Imagination. I thought that this would be a good addition to the music library because some books cover whole operas or whole composers' lives and things like that, or whole albums. But I think this focuses on this motif and its ripple effects in the world, which seems like an appealingly narrow scope for a book to take. I love when books blossom out from a narrow kind of point of where the seed is. We have Pirate Enlightenment. This is a posthumous David Graeber book that was given. And look, it's like this weird internet printed one because I think someone ordered it offline and it just came like this. This is a giant magazine size thing, and it contains the text of the book, I think, but it's printed all crappy. It looks like it was printed by just some office in Hyde Park or something. But I think the whole text of the book is there. I think the unattractiveness of this weird internet printing, and I don't like the whole specter of like this whole the whole phenomenon of when you order stuff offline and they like print on demand like this. Of course, you know how I feel about that, but I think maybe this not being the best edition of this has kept it from being read so far. This is something I've read twice, Palestine by Joe Sacco. I had it out, and I think it just got shuffled around because I had it out for a recent party that we had, a recent benefit that we had. Foxfire Book 1, I showed you Foxfire Volume 2 over there. And this is Foxfire Volume 1. And this is a wonderful book. I highly recommend the Foxfire series for fans of nonfiction generally, for fans of regional history, and also for fans of a dramatic monologue, for fans of how-to, and also for fans of gardening, for fans of folklore. It's kind of like a library of Appalachian folklore if you really can build up a library of many of these Foxfire books. Then we have the copy of Song of Solomon that I read in high school, so you can see there are words circled. I think I remember when the C word pops up in here, that really left a big impact on me. I must have been really absorbed in this one because I didn't really circle that many words. It doesn't seem. Maybe I circled more of them later. I don't give a damn about names. I underlined that. I remember getting a decent grade on my essay on this book. Anyway, this is like maybe my second favorite Toni Morrison novel after Sula, and then I like Bluest Eye and Beloved. I think I'm like I'm like a rare person who actually thinks A Mercy is kind of dope, and I also really like Home. Home was like a book that I got when I was a kid. I've always liked Home pretty well. And that kind of concludes what a little segment on what had been relegated to the floor. We'll get back to shelves shortly. And in case you were interested in this copy of Habitations of the Word, it's just this nice touchstone paperback. It's kind of like an early paperback edition of Habitations of the Word by William H. Gass. It has a bookmark in it turned to his essay on And, which is a masterpiece. I was reading it aloud recently. This had like protective plastic covering on it that I couldn't abide because I just wanted to read the book and I just wanted to touch the book itself and not the plastic covering. Reading this book is more important to me than preserving it. So this is Habitations of the Word by William H. Gass. When is this from? There's a little quote on there. It's such a time capsule design-wise. When was this published? A lot of great subjects covered in here. 1985. First Touchstone edition, 1986. And it really looks it. Speaking of 1986, I learned today that there's an edition of The Ice Storm by Ashbury that's published in like a little hardcover standalone. So I added that as one of my grails in my mind to collect. So anyway, this little roundup of little stacks shows some stuff that wasn't really technically on a shelf, but some of which is top shelf, some of which is bottom shelf. It's just the stuff where if you're moving, and you can't set up your place right, and stuff gets shuffled here and there, sometimes you get these weird motley stacks that accumulate, and I'm sure that I'm not the only person on YouTube who's suffered from this kind of thing before. Anyway, thanks for watching and happy reading.